Dear friends, there's an old saying, pride cometh before the fall. Pretty good saying too, actually, because pride is one of those things that affects us and affects humanity and is one of our biggest problems. You look back in history, you go back right to the beginning. You had Lucifer, greatest of the angels, thought he was better than God, full of pride until he was cast out. Satan. Adam and Eve, that whole story of Adam and Eve, it's all about pride, isn't it? The old serpent tried to convince Adam and Eve that they could be like God. Pride. We know what happened then. Sin entered into the world. Pride. Pride is when you just look in at yourself and you think you're better than what you are. You think you're just it. There's no room in your heart or your mind for God or anybody else. That's extreme pride. And that's a real danger for us. If you look around the world, how many wars throughout history have been caused by pride? My country is not going to back down in front of another country. If I go to war, millions die. All because of what? Pride. Because some people think that they're better than other people. Pride stops us from changing. If you're full of pride and you do something and you realise that suddenly, oh, that's the wrong thing to do, your pride won't let you change because it would look like a weakness. So you persist in doing the thing that you know is wrong. Stops you from changing. Pride stops you from forgiving other people. Even if you know that they have done something wrong, they've asked for forgiveness, but you're hurt. Your pride is hurt and you won't forgive. How many families have been split up because pride stops one party from asking for forgiveness or for forgiving the other party? Pride, very, very dangerous. Pride stops us from empathising with other people by seeing and feeling the pain of others. We're so inward looking when we're full of pride. All we think of is ourself. We have nothing left to think of others. So, pride is all these things. Pride also can cause us to put other people down because we need to always raise ourselves up in our pride. And the way we do that is by pushing other people down. Dear friends, our gospel today tells us about a journey that each of us must take as Christians. And that journey is from pride to humility. Gospel story, beautiful story. We have here a Pharisee standing up before God saying, God, thank you for making me so good. I'm so glad that I'm not like that tax collector down the back that lies and cheats and is a horrible person. I, on the other hand, am perfect. I am fantastic. And then you have that tax collector down the back. His little prayer is different. His is a prayer of humility. All he said is, be merciful to me, Lord, for I'm a sinner. That's his prayer. That's a humble prayer. So we've got to go from the prayer of pride, the Pharisee, who says, God, look at me, aren't you so lucky you got me on your side? Full of pride, to that poor tax collector who said, Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner. That's humility. Seeing yourself as God sees you. Now, the way we go from there to there, and we all have to travel because we've all got a bit of that pride in us. We all like sometimes to think we're better than what we are, and we compare ourselves with other people. So, well, I'm better than that person is no good. We have to be very careful that we don't puff ourselves up. So we move from pride to humility. How do we do that? Acts of humility. Doing things that cut you down in a way, that undermine that pride. Purposely not pushing into the front of the line, letting someone else go first. Doing little things. Going out of your way to talk to somebody that you think is a humbler station than yourself, that you don't normally have to talk to. Go out of your way to do these things. There's acts of humility, and they stop us from becoming too proud. Looking out to other people, helping other people, reaching out, stops us from just looking in. Praying to God, reading the scriptures, making room for God in your life. There's more room in here that's full of, with God, there's less room for yourself. All these things are very, very important. But they're little things that you can actually do. Don't always take the best seat. Take another seat. Don't get hung up on what people say about you. And don't just try throughout your whole day to have everyone say, look how marvellous you are. There's a fascinating story that used to happen with the emperors of Austria, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. When they had their funerals, when they died, the Holy Roman Emperor would come in a funeral procession to the doors of the cathedral in Vienna. And his big master of ceremonies would knock on the door, and the door would be closed. The Archbishop would be the other side. And to who's there? The master of ceremonies would say, His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire and Austria and Hungary and so forth and so forth. All these titles. And the Archbishop would come back, I don't know him. Then the Master of Ceremonies would go through each of his titles, the Prince of this, the Duke of that. At the end of all these titles, the Archbishop would come back, I don't know him. And this would go on for about 15 minutes. To finally, the Master of Ceremonies would say, Joseph, a poor sinner. And the Archbishop would open the door and say, I know him. And there's a good message in that. Before God, we're all poor sinners. We're all like the tax collector. We all struggle. We all have our problems. We all try. None of us has the right to look down on somebody else with pride and say, we're better than them. So we should never, never fall into the trap of the Pharisee of saying, thank God I'm not like that person. Let's thank God for who we are. Let's pray and try to be humble. Let's try to make room in our lives for God and for other people. God bless you.